Hi Instagram, thank you for joining. This is lunchtime. Stand Up with Kate Sky, where we talk about our wins and struggles. We're also live on Twitch and YouTube because we're going to do some live coding after this. So hi Dasha, thank you for joining. So if you guys have anything to share, put it in the comments. We're just sharing our wins and struggles. What are they? What are you guys doing these days? What are you creating? Hi Res Coder, thank you for joining. Are you going to follow me while we do some coding on Twitch after this? Ooh, property binding. Hee, that's fun. Genuine Praveen, thank you for joining. This is Lunchtime Stand-Up. We're sharing wins and struggles. So what are my struggles today? My struggles are nothing but wins these days. So I started doing this live coding, and yesterday it was so fun because I started doing live on Instagram and I forgot to turn my video on the restream in my OBS studio, and I was like streaming to Twitch and YouTube with a black screen. So that was so distracting. If you were to watch that video, you will see like a black screen just talking to you. But then for YouTube, I fixed the video. I used my Camtasia Studio to overlay the YouTube video over on top of my video from Twitch. So if you want to see a semi-good video on YouTube from yesterday, go check it out there. Hi Cody Mermaid, thank you for joining. So the reason we call this live a stand-up is just like on the programming team or any product team. It's an agile ceremony where we talk about what we did yesterday and what we're planning on working on today. And and hopefully we have some wins and struggles. We'll have them, but hopefully more wins than struggles. And then we hop over to Twitch or YouTube, and then we do some live coding. That's the plan. So, and today is going to be a fun day for me because my kids, my older kids, are going to Six Flags all by themselves. I have to drive them there over my lunch break. So it'll be this, and then me hopping in the car and driving everyone over there. So that's going to be fun because I can already hear somebody walking into my door who will need a ride. So hopefully it's all going to work out, and we're going to have a successful live. Let's see here. What else? So yesterday, while we were doing live coding, we played a little bit with Angular DevTools, and we saw some of the ways to do profiling on your applications. There's a profiling tab in Angular DevTools, and we installed the Chrome extension for it, so that's a really good, useful tool. I haven't played with it with my work project yet. I'm planning to do that, but right now I'm working on delivering this huge user story, which is sort of an enhancement on the previous feature, and it's a lot of work. So yeah, before I get to that, I still need to work on that feature. So let's see. So looks like we're not going to have much participation on this Instagram. So hop over to Twitch, and I need to open that tab because I want to see if I have any comments. I don't mess it up too badly because that's what happens. I mess up. I'm human, right? Okay, so how do I do this? Okay, there we go. All right, Pretzel Rocks is already here. Dasha is here. Thank you. Okay, so we can hop over there since we're already going to be live coding there, right, Dasha? Okay, thank you, Instagram. See you tomorrow. All right, so we're back on our live coding session. Let's see if everything is still working. And we're going to turn on our screen here, move this to the right. a little bit. See if it's okay. Here we go. Okay, so this is a little better. Hi, Dasha. Okay, so what am I going to do right now? I am going to open my VS Code, and I was refactoring the code yesterday. So I'm going to switch over to my master branch. By the way, how's my audio? Dasha? Is it good? And can you hear my music? That's my second question. Okay, cool. I got a little bit of music so we don't get too stressed out here. Now let me make my camera a little bit smaller because we want to see as much VS Code as possible. Okay. I'm going to put it up here. There we go. No, I don't want to put it up here. I'm going to put it over here. Okay. There we go. All right. So what I wanted to do today is just to show you multiple different ways on how people get data from an API. Because in my master branch, in my GitHub service, you remember that we did this get users async. It's a promise, and then the data is put into this grid subject. But there is there are many more simpler ways of doing this. This is a little bit complicated for somebody who's just starting out. So let's go back to the basics, and we are going to use the service the way Angular documentation tells us to use it. And the way it tells us to use it is to create a method, and let's just call it as search users. And this method will take a term just like it did before. And what is it going to return? And it's going to return observable. Just like we have grid data here, we want to return an observable. I really want to make it as simple as possible, because if you use HttpClient, and that's what we're going to use, we're going to use HttpClient just like you've seen it in documentation. In order to use HttpClient, we need to import HttpClient module. So we're going to do that first, and before we create this method, we are going to import HttpClient, okay, inside our service. So now we can use it, and what we can do, so we're going to have a lot of repeated code from here, so let's just grab this URL and let's put it into a constant. Can we do a constant here? I don't know if we can do a constant. Let's try this. URL equals. No, we can do a constant on this level. Okay, so I just call it URL. Okay. And we are going to use this inside our search users. And if you remember, okay, let me do this real quick. I'm going to a little different screen here that you can't see because it's my cheat sheet. I hope you don't mind. Okay, I just don't want to make too many mistakes while we're playing with it, so I'm going to open my cheat sheet here. And actually yesterday, while I was playing with this and I was doing refactoring of some of the code here, which is on a different branch, you could just grab it on in my repo, I found we have a bug, which is interesting. And I'll show you the bug and then we'll fix it. Okay, so our search users, needs a search URL. I don't want to type it, so I'm just going to paste it from my cheat sheet. And it takes the URL that we just created, puts the term here, puts the page, and it could do, now it could do a return. Oops. So we're going to return. And when you do a call through HttpClient, HTTP, it actually returns an observable. So you can subscribe to an observable as you recall. Okay, we have a search URL. And what we can do here is we probably should do a catch error here. So the way you do catch error is you do a pipe on it. And we do a catch error, which is another RxJS helper. Is it an operation? Let's double check. Is it an operation? It's a function. Catch error. It is an operator. Okay. So it takes an observable. If it returns an error, it goes through this method. And we're gonna do, and based on the documentation from Angular, it has the handle error method. So let's create this handle method. And this handle method is copied from the documentation. So I'm just going to copy it over here. Oops. And we're going to paste it over here. Okay, so let's just make sure that it's all good. So our search users is now returning an observable from the search URL, and it's going to handle this error with this method that we copied from Angular API, Angular documentation. There's a throw error. Let's also add that operator. So it's going to just log, console log the error from our API if we have one. Okay? So this is documentation way. And I wanted to make sure I cover that because it's sometimes it's confusing. Okay, so we're good here. I just want to make sure we're still live or nothing has changed on our... Okay, so now that we have the search users, we're not going to use this method of get users. We're going to go to our component and we are going to create a new search method. Let's just call it search method 2. And from here, we're going to call this service dot search users. And now we can set the term that we have in our component. And we are actually going to subscribe to this method, and we are going to get data. So we're going to get some data here. I don't know what it's going to look like yet. So let's just do console log of our data just to look at it to see what we can do with it. So now we are going to call this method from our app component. The only issue right now is we have this ngIf grid data, and this grid data is still going to show us the stuff from the previous stuff. So let's just get rid of this. We'll just get rid of it. Should we get rid of it? You know what? Let's do this. Let's just copy this because we're just playing with it, right? So we have the ng model here. We have a button. Let's do another set of those. We'll get rid of this and we'll just do a search, and then we call our search 2. Okay. So this way we can kind of see what happened on the search 2 event. We're gonna get our console log. Alright, so this is very, very simple. Okay. this up. So now we have our second set of input boxes, which is fine. So let's just do a search, and here's our API call. And let's go to console. It actually console logged what we needed, right? So it has the items, it has the total count. So this is, so that if we do the data.items, that's actually going to give us the items that we need to show on our app details screen. We can do that. So this is very, very simple way, a very, very fast way of showing the data onto our screen. So if you need to do something really fast, you can just subscribe. We're not going to go into creating behavior subjects or anything like that. We're just going to take the data, that items, and we are going to assign it to a data variable within our items. We remember the items. So let's create this variable. Does not exist on type of object. Okay, let's give it any. Can we do any? It needs parentheses, I think. Okay, so this is our strict mode in full effect. It doesn't let us do some goofy things. Okay, so now we assign a data variable that we created up in here. And now we know that in our HTML, our items input from the app detail component will receive the data. And initially it's going to be null because that's what, when it's up here, when it's declared, there's no value to it. It's going to be undefined. So let's see if we broke anything or if it's actually going to work. Our simplified version of getting data from the service. Check it out. All right, come on. Okay, search. All right, it worked. All right, let's look at our Angular profiler one more time. Right now we have 2 inputs and 2 references to the app detail because we just added that. Let's profile it really quick. So currently we're always going to get a first page because we have no logic in our search users. That has to be additional work. So our ng4 is still in yellow, and there's not much we can do about it because all of the data that we show is always new, so it's going to have to do change detection cycle on it, or function. Okay. So there's our beautiful subscribe event onto the search users method using HttpClient. So one thing that we want to make sure every time we subscribe is we unsubscribe. And that's kind of going to be our very simple showing data best practice. So let's do that. Let's create a subscription. And this is a very simple way of subscribing and unsubscribing. And we are going to call this we'll call it sub, and we'll say it's a subscription type from NGRX. And now our app component can implement on destroy. And now we can actually create an undestroyed lifecycle hook where we can unsubscribe from the subscription that we created on our service. Okay? And actually, let's see here. One thing we need to think about here. So we're doing the subscribe actually right inside our search button. So every time we click a search, this subscribe is going to hit this little piece over here. It's not the best way of doing this because so we can't really unsubscribe and destroy because this subscribe will happen many times. Every time you click search 2, this subscribe will hit. So this could actually be a really bad data memory leak. So So what we can do is we can actually make this a constant, and we can actually unsubscribe right after we use the data on it. I think this is the fastest way of so ng undestroy lifecycle hook is good to unsubscribing on subscriptions that happen like on ng on init. It's something where you get some set of data in the beginning of your application, but here we're actually doing a search on the button click, so this subscription is something will happen on every term search that we're doing. So we're gonna unsubscribe. So again, so right now we did no logic on our application for like paging or anything. So that all will have to happen with this. We're gonna have to maybe do it here because our data has a count, and we need to increment the page depending on the term and all that stuff that we did in the service inside our get users. All that logic has to happen. But let's just say we're still using this method, and we're gonna wrap up really quick. We're at our 20-minute mark. I want to only do that for 30 minutes today. I hope you don't mind. There is one little bug here that I've noticed, and it's this has more record property is actually not used in our app component. We're using is more. And the reason why you don't see any errors is because we don't have a type assigned to our data grid variable, and let's do that because that's gonna actually show us the error, I believe. Okay, so let's get rid of our errors here. We don't need this anymore. We don't need this anymore, and we don't need this anymore. So let's get rid of our implements. We're not gonna use that right now. So let's fix that really quick, because I think it's important to remember that using our interfaces is going to help you write code that has a lot less bugs than you would have if you didn't use them. So right now we have a bug we don't even know about. Our has more does not work. So let's double check what properties we're using. So we don't need data anymore. I think we got rid of that. We're using the grid data subject in here. So we create a separate observable for our, did we? Oh no, we didn't. So okay, never mind. Let me add that back. Add that back. Okay. So let's do this. So right now our behavior subject for grid has this type any, which really lets you put whatever you want in it. So let's put iGrid interface to it, and let's see if we can see our errors. Okay. Okay, let me stop this really quick. Make this a little bit bigger, but check this out. Let's do ng-serve just to show you the errors. And this is actually incredible, because right now you had a bug in your code you knew nothing about, but just putting an actual interface onto your behavior subject instead of using any at build time, it's going to show you that you have a bug and you can fix it. Okay, so let's see while it's building. I'll have a sip of my coffee. And this is my second cup. Which cup number are you on? Okay, so let's see here. So here we go. Number of pages. Property number of pages does not exist. Interesting. Number of pages does not exist. We have number of pages here, but we don't have number of pages here. Interesting. Okay, so why is it not complaining inside our GitHub service? There should be complaining, and it's not. So let's fix that, because if we type our initial value to iGrid, it tells you right in here, number of pages does not exist. Why are you trying to set it to 0? So let's put it here. let's do this to fix our error here. So now we have data, we have current page, total count. Okay, good. So this is all good. So number of pages is much better now. Do we have any other problems? Here we go, we have another problem. Is more does not exist, because remember, we have has more records. Actually, I don't like this name. Let's type our object here to iGrid as well. And let's rename has more records. I think it should be plural. Let's rename this. Let's give it an S at the end. Let's see if it renamed it everywhere. Check this out. By using this little right-click rename symbol, you can actually rename all of the reference to that iGrid in your code. And if you didn't have this type over here, that would not rename because it doesn't know. Okay, so let's go to our component really quickly, fix our code, because check it out. It actually gives you an inline type checking because it knows grid data is of iGrid type. Excuse me. Alright, let's fix that. Oops, is more. Has more records. That's what we wanted to name. Okay, so we fixed those errors. I remember, I think there was one more issue in our service when we were using this old method. I'm trying to think what it was. I think this incrementation of page was too soon as well. Because, this if is wrong. I think this is backwards. So the number of pages less than page. No, it has to be pages less than number of pages. And it actually creates this page incrementation too soon. And there is a way to fix it. I'm not going to fix it right now, but let's just see if our code compiles and if we can use our okay, so looks like it's compiled. Let's switch over to our GitHub search. Let's see if it works. Okay, so we're going to use our previous one. Ooh, false. That doesn't look right. Oh, what did we do here? Oh, okay, okay. So let's turn this back. Let's make this beautiful again. Let's put this back into our brackets so it has the correct text in it. Okay. Do search. Okay, so see there, here's the bug, page 2 of 202, but we were on page 1, so it incremented number 2 too soon, which is another bug we're not going to fix today. I encourage you to play with it yourself, see what you can come up with. I am going to push the latest changes that we played with today to my master branch. Today is 6/2/21. If you want to try that out, there is another branch I can show you really quick. If you go to GitHub search and you drop this down, there is a second branch called Refactor HttpClient, which has a lot of different things that I was playing with. Show how do you rename something that will update everything. Okay, let me show you one more time. Okay, so, but going back to the Refactor HttpClient, let me show you how to do the rename, and I'll show you how to switch between branches really quick. Okay. All right, so let's say we are in our GitHub service. Sorry, Ashley, if I was too late to answer that request. We are at iGrid. Let's see, I wanted to rename something. I wanted to rename something I didn't like. I think this grid data is something I wanted to rename. Because it's really not grid data, it's like grid config, let's just say. Let's call it config. So let's rename this. Let's see if it's gonna rename it everywhere. Rename symbol, so I right clicked on it. call it grid. Let's just call it grid. All right, grid data, right click, grid. All right, let's see where it renamed it. In 2 places. So not only we renamed it here, let's see where else did it rename. It actually, look how cool this is. It actually went into the component because you had it assigned here in a component. It actually renamed it here as well, which is really, really nice. Okay. So this is we renamed the variable. Let's go back to our service and rename a property on an object on the interface. So let's go to grid interface and let's rename our total count. Let's actually spell count. Why not? Count. So we don't want to abbreviate. Let's just say we had our manager or a lead came in and it's like, wow, you can't spell count? Why can't you just put a whole word in your variable names? We go, okay, we'll rename it. Sorry about that. Okay, so we renamed it. Let's see where did it rename? Okay. So count renamed here in our initial value. I hope you can see my side-by-side comparison. Let's keep scrolling. And total count is renamed here as well. The only place I don't see it renamed is add template. So the template doesn't do a rename, it just gives you an error here. So you can fix that. Okay, so that's your strict type checking. So the reason it's working is because in tsconfig file, there is Angular, I think it's the Angular compile options, is this flag strict template to true. This is why. So this is why you're getting all those helpful squiggly lines. Okay, so we'll do one more commit. So we just renamed something. And we push. And let me just show you really quick how to switch between. So whenever you do git pull, it actually pulls all of the branches. So you can either do a git command or you can just click on master like this. And under origin, you'll see then all of the branches available under that repository. So you can actually click on origin refactored and it will pull that branch locally, and then you can have it within your local git. Okay, so that's how you change over to another branch. All right, so I think this is going to be it for today. This was a 32-minute mark. I'm so happy we accomplished something I wanted to show you. And next time we are going to do the same thing but with more observables. I want to show you how to convert that method into a declarative way of creating observables. Instead of calling a method and then getting the data that way, we'll do it a different way, a little bit more advanced. Okay, so play with that. Go to your branch, do subscribe to a method, get that data, assign it to your local variable, show it on the screen, and then come back tomorrow and we'll do something a little bit more advanced with RxJS. Because the fun part is going to be few streams ahead when we're gonna do something really, really reactive with NGRX, which is a library. So that was that. Thank you for joining my live, and I hope I see you next time. Bye. Love you.